Hello, and welcome. If you're listening to this right now, there's a good chance you're in a quiet moment.
Maybe it's late at night. Maybe you're alone in your room. Or maybe you're surrounded by people, but still feel strangely lonely.
Growing up doesn't come with a warning. One day you realize you don't talk to people the same way anymore.
Growing up doesn't come with a warning. One day you realize you don't talk to people the same way anymore.
If you've ever wondered why adulthood feels so isolating,
And why the fear of being alone keeps showing up in your thoughts.
then stay with us.
You're not strange for feeling this way, and you're not the only one.
There's a moment in growing up that no one really warns you about. It's not loud, it doesn't arrive with drama, it just settles in.
You wake up one day and realize that life feels heavier than it used to. Not because something terrible happened, but because everything started to matter more.
As a kid, days were simple. You laughed without calculating. You spoke without rehearsing. You dreamed without asking if it was realistic.
A growing up quietly adds weight to everything. Choices start to feel permanent. Mistakes feel expensive. And suddenly, even rest feels undeserved.
You don't just carry your own expectations anymore. You carry timelines, comparisons, invisible rules about where you should be by now.
And no one tells you how tiring that becomes. How every small decision starts to feel like it could change your entire future.
You stop asking, "What do I want?" and start asking, "What won't disappoint people?"
That's when growing up starts to feel heavy. Not because you're weak, but because you're aware.
Awareness comes with a cost. You see consequences now. You see loss before it happens. You see endings inside beginnings. And sometimes, the heaviness isn't sadness. It's responsibility. It's knowing you don't get to be careless anymore.
Growing up doesn't break us, but it does change how we carry ourselves.
And if you've been feeling tired without knowing why, this might be it.
Loneliness doesn't look like being alone. When people talk about loneliness, they usually imagine someone sitting alone in a dark room.
When people talk about loneliness, they usually imagine someone sitting alone in a dark room.
Loneliness often shows up when you're surrounded by people. At dinners, in group chats, at celebrations where you smile, but don't feel seen.
It's that feeling of being present, but not included.
You laugh at the right moments, you say the right things, but something inside you stays quiet.
Because loneliness isn't about the absence of people, it's about the absence of connection.
You can be texting all day and still feel like no one truly knows what's going on inside you.
And that's the kind of loneliness that hurts the most. The kind you feel even when you're doing everything right.
As we grow up, our conversations change. They become safer, shorter, more filtered.
We stop saying, "I'm not okay," and start saying, "I'm just tired."
We stop sharing fears and start sharing updates.
Loneliness grows in those gaps, in the things we don't say because we don't want to be a burden.
Or because we're afraid no one will really listen.
And slowly, you start feeling like you're living life from the outside, watching yourself play a role.
If you felt lonely even in full rooms, there's nothing wrong with you.
It just means you're craving something real.
And that craving is a sign you still care deeply.
Next, the shift. Fewer friends, deeper silence. There's a quiet shift that happens as we grow older. One day you look around and realize your world has become smaller.
Not suddenly, not dramatically, just quietly.
You don't lose friends because of fights. You lose them because life pulls everyone in different directions.
Work schedules don't match anymore. Energy runs out faster. And replying later slowly turns into never.
At first, you tell yourself it's normal. This is adulthood, you say.
But then the silence starts to feel louder.
You notice fewer names popping up on your phone, fewer spontaneous conversations, fewer people who really know your current version.
What hurts isn't the number of friends shrinking. It's realizing how few people you can truly talk to now.
As kids, friendship was effortless. You showed up, and connection happened.
As adults, friendship requires alignment, time, emotional space, and honesty we're often too tired to give.
So we start adapting. We tell ourselves we don't need as much. We say we're fine on our own.
But deep down, the silence grows heavier. Because fewer friends doesn't mean fewer needs.
It just means we become better at hiding them.
So, why adulthood feels so isolating? Adulthood feels isolating because no one teaches us how to carry it together.
Everyone is busy surviving their own version of life. Bills, responsibilities, unspoken pressure.
And when everyone is overwhelmed, no one wants to be the one who says, I'm not okay.
So we keep conversations light, safe, surface level.
How are you? I'm good. Even when we're not.
Adulthood isolates us because vulnerability feels risky now. It feels like something we can't afford.
There's a fear that if we open up, we'll be too much, too heavy, too inconvenient.
So instead of reaching out, we pull inward.
And the more independent we become, the more alone we feel, even though independence was supposed to be empowering.
Adulthood teaches us to function, not to connect.
We learn how to cope quietly, to cry in private, to struggle silently.
And over time, loneliness doesn't come from being ignored. It comes from being unseen.
If adulthood feels isolating to you, it's not because you failed at building connections.
It's because the world rewards self-sufficiency, not emotional honesty.
And what is the fear of ending up alone?
There's a fear many of us carry, but rarely say out loud.
The fear of ending up alone.
Not just physically alone, but emotionally unchosen.
It shows up late at night, when distractions fade, when you imagine the future and wonder, who will still be there?
We tell ourselves we're okay being independent, strong, self-reliant.
But the fear still whispers, what if no one truly stays?
Adulthood makes this fear sharper, because relationships now feel conditional.
People come with limits, boundaries, busy lives.
And suddenly, love doesn't feel guaranteed anymore. It feels earned.
So we start protecting ourselves. We lower expectations. We pretend we don't need much.
But fear grows in that pretending.
The fear of ending up alone isn't about being single. It's about feeling replaceable.
It's about wondering if anyone would choose you without convenience, without obligation.
If this fear lives inside you, it doesn't mean you're broken.
It means you care deeply about connection.
And caring, even when it hurts, is still a form of courage. We go with, comparing timelines makes it worse.
There's something that quietly intensifies our fear of loneliness, and most of us don't even notice when it starts. It's comparison. Not the obvious kind, the quiet, late-night kind. The kind where you're not jealous, you're just measuring.
You scroll through other people's lives and you don't think, I want what they have. You think, I'm late.
Everyone seems to be moving forward on a clear timeline. Relationships, marriage, kids, career milestones. And suddenly, your life feels like it's paused, even if it isn't.
Comparison doesn't just make us feel behind, it makes us feel abnormal. Like there's a right pace for life and we somehow missed the memo.
And when it comes to loneliness, comparison hits deeper. You see people surrounded by others and you start questioning yourself. Why don't I have that? What's wrong with me? Did I mess something up?
But what we're comparing is an edited moment to our unfiltered reality.
We compare their highlights to our quiet nights.
And that comparison doesn't motivate us, it isolates us further. Because instead of reaching out, we withdraw.
We start believing that if we're alone now, we'll always be alone. That if we haven't built our people yet, it's already too late.
But life doesn't move in one shared timeline. Some people bloom early, some bloom quietly, some bloom after long winters.
Comparison turns temporary seasons into permanent judgments.
And that's what makes it so dangerous.
And that's what makes it so dangerous?
What makes the fear of loneliness heavier is how rarely we talk about it.
Not because it doesn't exist, but because it feels embarrassing.
Admitting you're lonely as an adult feels like admitting failure.
Like you didn't build your life correctly. Like you missed something everyone else figured out.
So instead of saying, I'm afraid of ending up alone, we say nothing.
We joke about being busy. We laugh it off. We pretend independence is all we need.
But silence doesn't make the fear go away. It just makes it private.
There's also the fear of being misunderstood. If you talk about loneliness, people might hear neediness.
Or desperation. Or weakness.
So we stay quiet to protect our image, even when that silence costs us connection.
But loneliness isn't a personal flaw. It's a human response to disconnection.
And many of the people you think are doing fine are carrying the same fear, just better hidden.
We don't talk about it because we think we're alone in it.
When in reality, this fear is shared by more people than we imagine.
Naming the fear doesn't make it stronger.
It makes it honest.
We continue with learning to sit with yourself.
Before we talk about fixing loneliness, we need to talk about something harder: learning to sit with yourself.
Not distract yourself, not numb yourself, not rush to fill the silence. Just sit.
Most of us avoid being alone not because we hate ourselves, but because silence brings questions we're not ready to answer.
Questions like, am I enough on my own? Who am I when no one is watching?
Learning to sit with yourself means allowing discomfort without immediately trying to escape it.
It means letting loneliness speak without letting it define you.
There's a difference between being alone and abandoning yourself.
And many of us unknowingly do the second one.
We treat solitude like a problem to solve instead of a space to understand ourselves.
But when you learn to sit with yourself, something shifts.
You stop chasing connection out of fear and start choosing it from wholeness.
Loneliness loses some of its power when you know how to be gentle with yourself inside it.
This doesn't mean you won't want people,
It means you won't disappear when they're not there.
and that's where real stability begins. And this brings us to the next part of the journey: relearning how to reach out without shame. Because knowing how to sit with yourself is one thing, but eventually, we still need people.
The problem is, many of us don't reach out because we don't know how anymore. Not because we don't want connection, but because asking feels heavy.
Reaching out as an adult doesn't feel casual. It feels loaded. Like you're interrupting someone's life. Like you're asking for more than you're allowed to want.
And there's shame wrapped around it. Shame that says, if they wanted to talk to you, they would. If you mattered enough, you wouldn't have to ask.
So instead of sending the message, we wait. We rehearse it. We rewrite it. And then we delete it.
We tell ourselves we'll reach out later, when we feel less needy, less awkward, less unsure.
But later rarely comes.
Relearning how to reach out means unlearning the idea that needing people is a weakness.
It means allowing your message to be simple, not perfect, not impressive, just real.
Sometimes connection starts with something small like, hey, I thought of you, or I don't really know how to say this, but I miss talking to you.
Reaching out isn't a demand, it's an invitation. And not every invitation will be accepted, but that doesn't make it wrong.
Learning to reach out without shame is learning to believe that your presence has value.
Which leads us to part 10, building connections slowly as an adult.
One of the biggest lies we carry is that connection should happen quickly. that if it doesn't feel instant, it's not real.
But adult connection doesn't work like childhood friendships. You don't see each other every day. You don't grow together automatically.
Adult connection is built in fragments. A message here, a coffee weeks later, a check-in that doesn't get answered right away.
And because it's slower, we often assume it's weaker.
But slow doesn't mean shallow. It just means intentional.
Real adult connection is built through consistency, not intensity. Showing up again, remembering details, being patient when life gets busy.
It's also built through tolerance for silence, understanding that distance doesn't always mean disinterest.
Sometimes connection isn't about finding your people all at once. It's about nurturing a few threads and letting them grow at their own pace.
Adult friendships don't announce themselves. They form quietly.
And they often look ordinary, until one day you realize you're no longer alone in the same way.
This brings us to part 11. You're not broken for wanting more. This might be the most important thing we say today.
Wanting deeper connection doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means you're human.
In a world that praises independence, wanting closeness can feel like failure.
Like you didn't outgrow the need for others.
But the truth is, we don't outgrow connection. We just hide our need for it better.
Feeling lonely doesn't mean your life is empty. It means there's space.
And space doesn't mean lack. It means possibility.
You're not broken because you want to be seen. You're not weak because you want to be chosen. You're not failing because you want more than surface-level life.
Sometimes loneliness is just your heart saying, "There's more for me than this."
And that voice isn't something to silence.
It's something to listen to, with kindness.
And now, last part. You're not alone in this fear.
If there's one thing we hope you take from this episode, it's this: the fear of loneliness is shared.
You're not the only one lying awake at night wondering if this is how life will always feel.
You're not the only one smiling during the day and feeling unseen at night.
And you're not behind. You're not defective. You're not missing something essential.
You're learning how to live in a world that doesn't always teach us how to stay connected.
Loneliness doesn't mean you've failed at life. It means you still care.
And caring is not a weakness. It's proof that your heart is still open.
If this episode resonated with you, we hope you'll stay with yourself tonight.
And if you feel like sharing, leave a comment or send this episode to someone who might need it.
Connection often begins with one quiet step.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening.
You're not alone in this fear.